full range of tools available to the House to compel compliance, unquote. NBC national security and justice correspondent Ken Dilanian has the latest for us. And also joining us is Illinois Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi. He is a member of the Intelligence Committee. Ken, let's start with you. Can you put a finer point for us on the impact of not having these in-person briefings?
Joshua, this is really another norm-shattering moment in the Trump administration because this essentially violates a compact that goes back to a 1980 intelligence oversight law. Yes, the Trump administration is still agreeing to provide written intelligence products, but they are obligated to keep the Congress apprised of current and continuing intelligence developments. That's in the law. And members of Congress need to ask intelligence officials in person questions about the intelligence that they're putting in front of them. ODNI officials gave us two reasons for doing this. One was a concern about leaks, and another, I think more tellingly, was a concern that they wanted the intelligence community to be all on the same page. And what that means is that they don't want a career bureaucrat like a Bill Evanina, who had been briefing Congress, he's a career FBI agent, going in and answering questions off the cuff about his view of the intelligence. Because what happened as a result of that was Democrats were criticizing the way the intelligence was portrayed, suggesting that it was downplaying the impact of Russian interference designed to help Donald Trump and overplaying the impact of Chinese and Iranian activity. Those countries don't want Trump to get elected, according to the intelligence community. So this is a big moment. And what I also find interesting today, Joshua, is that none of the key Republicans, neither the chairman of the committees nor the leaders in Congress, have said a word about this, even as Democrats are heavily criticizing it.
Congressman Krishnamoorthi, I'm sure that you follow President Trump's Twitter feed avidly. But at the top of this hour, he tweeted the following, and I'd like to get your reaction to it. He tweeted, quote, "Probably shifty Schiff," referring to Adam Schiff, the chairman of the committee, "probably shifty Schiff, but others also leak information to the fake news. No matter what or who it is about, including China, these deranged lowlifes, like the Russia narrative, plays better for them. At DNI Ratcliffe doing a great job," unquote. Thoughts?
You know, I think that the reason why the president and the White House don't want these in-person briefings is very simple. They are trying to muzzle their career public servants who try to tell the truth, try to call balls and strikes about what's going on with the intelligence. And quite frankly, he doesn't like the fact that they have revealed that Russia is actively interfering in these elections today. And they're doing so in a way that's completely different in some fundamental ways than what happened in 2016. And that is why it's so important for us to meet with them, to be able to probe what they know, what they need, and what resources we need to bring to bear to prevent the Russians from interfering in 2020 with the same effect that they did in 2016.
The Biden campaign put out a statement regarding these DNI briefings. This is from Andrew Bates, who is a campaign spokesperson. He says, quote, "Donald Trump has actively solicited foreign interference multiple times with respect to three countries that we know about, Russia, China, and Ukraine. For his administration to constrain the information being provided to the people's representatives in Congress as this national security threat multiplies, especially given Donald Trump's unprecedented welcoming of these assaults on our democracy for his own gain, is deeply alarming. This should be reversed immediately," unquote. Ken Dilanian, what impact or what authority, perhaps, is there to change the way this is done? I mean, the Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, answers to the president. Obviously, the intelligence community has oversight there, but who has the leverage here, really? And, Congressman, I'd like your perspective on this in a minute, but, Ken, what's your sense of who has the leverage?
My sense, Joshua, is unfortunately the Congress really doesn't have much leverage here because we know that congressional subpoenas take a long time to enforce, and we're 10 weeks from the election. And the law does say that the executive branch has to brief Congress about intelligence, but it doesn't say in what form. So there may be a legal challenge to this, but this was the last bipartisan area in Washington, oversight of intelligence, where the executive branch agreed to give members of Congress secrets. Congress agreed to keep those secrets, and it was kind of treated behind closed doors with a kind of comedy. That is really broken down here, but unfortunately, I don't see any way, particularly if the Republicans aren't going to stand up to Trump, which it doesn't appear that they are tonight, I don't see any leverage that the Congress has to change this, Joshua.
Congressman Krishnamoorthi, in terms of what the reaction to this might be, are there particular, and I know I don't want you to tell tales out of school in terms of sensitive intelligence information. I know there are certain things you can't discuss. But to the extent that you can, are there certain concerns that you have related to election security that make you willing to go to the mat to get back to in-person briefings? Or do you think that your concerns can be reasonably answered through email, basically?
I'm not sure about email, but I think that we have to see what type of written product they give to us. But, you know, they come to us, the intelligence community and the administration comes to us regularly with requests for changes in programs, additional funding, and other requests that we try to accommodate on a bipartisan basis. However, in the situation where we're not given full information about how to protect potentially the most important election in our lifetime from interference from the very same country that attacked us in 2016, I can see how that process might have some hurdles in it, and it may not go as smoothly as the administration would like. All that being said, Joshua, I just want to say that the career public servants in the intelligence community are some of the finest people in the world. The problem is that this administration doesn't want them to do their jobs, doesn't want them to tell the truth. And when they do tell the truth, they suffer the consequences. They either get fired, reassigned, or they're forced to resign. That's what happened to DNI codes.
Congressman, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there is a statement that was just put out by Marco Rubio, who's the acting chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, regarding these briefings. I'm just looking at it real quickly. Let me read a piece of this to you and get your reaction. He refers in part to this notion that the president put forth that information is being leaked for political purposes. So let me read you a chunk of this statement, Congressman, and then get your reaction. Senator Rubio writes, in part, quote, divulging access to classified information in order to employ it as a political weapon is not only an abuse, it is a serious federal crime with potentially severe consequences on our national security. He goes on to write, quote, yet this grotesque criminal misconduct does not release the intelligence community from fulfilling its legal requirements to respond to congressional oversight committees and to keep members of Congress fully informed of relevant information on a timely basis. I have spoken to Director Radcliffe, who stated unequivocally that he will continue to fulfill these obligations. In particular, he made explicitly clear that the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence will continue receiving briefings on all oversight topics, including election matters, unquote. That is a statement from the acting chair of the Senate Intel Committee. Congressman Krishnamoorthi, I know I'm just reading this to you for the first time, but what are your early reactions to that?
Well, he obviously didn't say that he would do the same for the House Permanent Select Committee. You know, I think that part of the reason is because the Intel Committee in the House has been more probing with regard to this issue than perhaps the Senate has. All that being said, I hope that ODNI changes its mind and DNI Radcliffe revisits this issue because we're not going to stop probing. We're not going to stop asking these very pressing questions, especially since Russia is attacking our elections right now.
NBC's Ken Delanian and Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi on a story that is literally changing by the minute. Thank goodness I brought my cell phone with me to the set. Ken, Congressman, appreciate seeing you both. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Coming up, we'll have more on